Hey everybody, and thanks for tuning in to the Ephrata Community Church weekly podcast. Conversation with our pastors and leaders meant to continue encouraging you to know God, know freedom, know purpose, and make a difference. Hey everyone, welcome to our weekly podcast.
Yeah, good morning.
I'm JV here with Pastor Matt Swords.
Good morning, guys. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, we're glad that you're joining us today. Just a short little podcast today, actually, just to kind of catch up on some details, some family life, some activity, and what's ahead.
Yeah.
And we had a flurry of a weekend, pun intended.
Yes, no kidding. A lot of flurries. That was good. Did you try that?
Just right now. It just came out. That was awesome.
Man, that's awesome.
No, we had a wonderful weekend together, whether you were here on campus or online with us. Thanks for joining us, because it was a baptism weekend.
Yep.
It was a vision casting weekend, and it was the culmination of our first month of Dig Deep. And it couldn't have been more celebratory and joyful. So thank you for being a part of it.
Yeah, what a way to end the month with over 30 people getting baptized in our weekend services, which was amazing. I always love the way we do baptism. You know, having everybody to the front, families gathering around, celebration, prayer. It's just such a fun weekend. It's like electrifying, you know, to see people committing their lives to the Lord. The testimonies that are read and their decisions that led them to this point. It's always a lot of fun.
It is. And at one of the services, I had walked out after worship was over and the baptisms were done. And I saw Oliver, who is one of our youth and young adult pastors. And Oliver said, man, I'm so provoked by these testimonies, in particular some of the kids who were like, I prayed for God to give me self-control and I drew a better picture. I'm like, that is an awesome
I could
testament.
use that.
Right? Exactly. So there, you know, whether it's from the children or the adults, wow, it is such an exciting and encouraging time to hear that. And it's obviously always provokes your heart just to love Jesus.
Yeah, and one of the other powerful elements of doing it with the entire congregation, you know, I would have had a conversation with my 5-year-old son who, you know, he's like, hey, I want to get baptized as well. Yep. And so it just really brings about that conversation with other people in your family. It really provokes people to say, you know what, I need to make that decision either for the first time or I've never gotten baptized and I need to do that as well.
And Pastor Kevin has often encouraged families to, hey, now's a great time to be intentional about that. Go home, talk about it with your kids, discuss it, and take the next step. So that was a fun part of our weekend.
Yep, a lot of fun.
And then Pastor Kevin also talked about vision for moving forward. But before we get to that, we got to look backwards.
Yeah, we do. 2020 was an amazing year
for
really us as a congregation. So many awesome things that God has done in our midst. And what we would have done traditionally every year would be like making a highlight reel in video form where we'd cover a lot of statistics, like people getting saved, number of cups of coffee that were consumed by our congregation, you know, things like that. And we didn't do it in video form this year. In fact, we did something else.
Completely new. And this actually happened to be an idea that came from Matt. He said, hey, I would like to capture this in a printable form. And so out comes kind of this yearbook of church life. And this was the first year we've ever done it like this. It is so fun, Matt.
Yeah, it is
well
a lot
done.
of fun.
And I mean, I just love looking in here. I mean, I guess I'm kind of a fan of Christmas. So Matt's going to talk a little bit about this, but I have a
little game.
I have a game for you because there's games in here. But if you're watching the podcast, you have a special opportunity. I've got a free cafe coupon, which is now fully running again, which means you can come and get your Rev Kev on the weekend. If you're watching and you can guess the number of poinsettias that were used in the poinsettia tree at Christmas this year, I'll give you a heads up. It was an 8-foot tall, no, it was 10-foot tall poinsettia tree, you know, fully, you know, encircled by red poinsettias with the white poinsettia on top.
Nice. The
person closest online to guessing the correct number of poinsettia plants that were used, you got a cafe coupon waiting for you. So just for fun.
Awesome.
But so this magazine, tell me a little bit about it, Matt, because it was amazing.
Yeah, so actually the thought would have come about way back in like April or May. And I saw, you know, it was like kind of like the way a lot of ministries would create a magazine where they're saying, here's our vision magazine, here's what we're going to be looking forward to in the year. And I saw it and I was like, man, it'd be really cool to do something like that at the end of the year, capturing the previous year. You know, things obviously, in 2020 got thrown, up into the air, and so the idea, actually, I forgot about it, came back around probably definitely uncomfortably late in the year to be dropping the idea, but it was probably early to mid-November.
It was November when this kind of started to form.
Yeah, where, again, I saw another magazine show up on my desk, and I was like, oh my word, I just remembered. So went to Kevin, went to others, pitched it again and said, hey, we can do this. And I just want to shout out to Kristen Martin, Kay Bauer, and Hannah McNevich, who took this and ran with it, did all the legwork and gathering the information. Obviously, there's write-ups by different pastors and directors here in the church.
Contributors.
A lot of contributors, thank you. And Hannah, our graphics design guru and awesome at all things graphics, put it together, did a great job. So, that's her.
Yeah, and one of my favorite parts, I think you mentioned it's one of your favorite parts also, Matt, is there's a tribute in here to Alan Vincent, who was a father of this family, served many years as an apostolic voice and prophetic voice, and also for Glenn Weaver, who was a founding member and elder of ECC, who both passed away in 2020. And they're just really precious tributes to those two men. If you haven't read that, if you haven't picked up a copy, please do, because you'll want to get that and even just to read those specific tributes. So thanks, Matt, to you and your team.
Yeah, and they are free, by the way.
That's right.
They're hanging around here at the church. So if you're
welcome
here
desk,
down
anywhere
in the
main lobby, they're all over. So grab one for your neighbor, grab one for your friend, even just to share. Hey, if you're looking for a home, learn about us.
Yeah. So that would be our year in review for 2020. But Josh, go ahead and share with us where we're heading next.
Well, so we came out of January, which is our time of prayer and fasting, and it was dig deep. And now we're going to launch into a couple new and exciting series here in February and in March, and heading towards Easter in April, which is only like 2 months
it'll
away.
be here before you know it.
Wow. But in the month of February, we will often focus on relationships. And that's not necessarily just marital relationships, but it's relationships across the board and on having healthy relationships. And so this weekend, Pastor Kevin will begin a new series called Radical Relationships, the Power of Peacemaking. Which is a little bit of a different take, but it's talking about the role that active peacemaking plays. The distinction is not peacekeeping, but peacemaking, and how that is so necessary in relationships. So he's going to begin this week talking about active peacemaking. Pastor Jim, who's our teaching pastor, he'll follow up the second week, talking about the steps towards peacemaking. And then we have a whole weekend where Jeff and Shanti Feldhahn, is that correct?
That's right.
I always get their last name, who are authors, speakers, and have beautiful insight into relationships and how to see them thriving. They're going to be here talking about their new book, Thriving in Love and Money. And that's going to be a Friday night, and Saturday and Sunday they'll be here with us as a really special opportunity for us to grow as a congregation. So that's coming up this month.
Yeah, a lot of excitement. Obviously, the series is definitely on point for where we are, culturally speaking, and how peacemaking or being at peace in relationships is not necessarily going to just happen automatically. It's just not going to
coincidental.
Yeah, it's not accidental either. You don't just randomly wake up one day in complete peace with all your relationships. So we have to be active in peacemaking. Definitely a really on point series to be heading into this February. Excited to be doing it. Definitely want to invite you out to enjoy this series with us as well.
Yeah, and obviously we're so glad that you've been able to join us online for our broadcast every weekend. We're still doing those at every one of our services. So Saturday night, Sunday morning 8:30, Sunday at 10:30. You can join us for all of those as well online. If you haven't been able to watch or participate in this past weekend's service, we'd encourage you to do so again, to see the baptisms, but also because Pastor Kevin talked a little bit about, again, some of our core values and vision moving forward, which will continue to be to know God, to know freedom, to know your purpose, and to make a difference. So listen to that as well if you haven't had a chance to do that.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us today. Like we said, it's going to be a short little recap, but we are so thankful that you're a part of our church family. And don't forget to check out the Year in Review magazines. Talk to us about poinsettias. Yeah,
please. How many? Let us know. I'm going to go on record and just guess, since I actually have no idea.
That's a good idea.
But just to give you a frame of reference, which means nothing, my guess is going to be 115. That's going to be my guess.
That's your guess. Good. I'm trying to give my poker face to let him know that he's like completely off base or
probably.
Is 10 feet tall. Just let that be your reference. It takes
115. I'm going to stick with it.
Okay. Matt's definitely not going to be getting the coupon this weekend.
Unless everybody else is equally terrible at guessing.
Nobody else guesses. Well, hey, blessings to you guys in the middle of this week. Hope you've been enjoying the snow days. Yeah. And we are so grateful that you joined us, and we look forward to seeing you this coming weekend. Blessings.
Right. Blessings.
See ya. Hey, thanks again for joining us today. We hope that you've been encouraged by listening and that you'll join us again next week. You can listen to previous episodes, find additional resources, and of course, learn more about us by visiting EphphatACommunityChurch.com.